I wish this was just my imagination, but hey, on the bright side, Ted, he has a long-lost cousin named Chauncey. Hi everyone, my name is Ryan, and today on the channel I'm going to be talking about a horror film called Imaginary. If you're new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. I review all kinds of movies on this channel, so there's always something for everyone. Now this film, it was directed by Jeff Wadlow, and he's done films like Kick-Ass 2, Fantasy Island, and Truth or Dare. The film, it stars DeWanda Wise, Tom Payne, Betty Buckley, Pyper Braun, and Taegen Burns. Now, what is Imaginary about? Well, it's about a woman named Jessica who moves back into her childhood home. She has two young stepdaughters. She's just gotten married. And in this house, you have this little girl named Alice who finds a stuffed bear named Chauncey in the basement, and some horror happenings start to ensue. Starting off with the positives, first I will get into the acting itself. Now, I think everybody's trying here despite the lack of script in here. I think everyone is trying to read their lines to a point where they're just trying to make this script work. I also like the imaginary world that these characters go into. I like the colors. I like the depth of that world. But the problem is it's only in the last 25 minutes of the movie. And I also like the start of the movie. I like this whole dream sequence into that imaginary world. It ties into the main character, Jessica, played by DeWanda Wise. She is a book author, and she made this book called Molly the Millipede. The movie, though, is very much littered with problems. First off, the dialogue itself. A lot of the dialogue that these characters have to say in here, I just feel really sorry for them. It feels like the script, how it's written, it's not written really well. What's interesting to me is there's 3 writers for the idea here, and I just don't understand why, because it seems like when you have 3 writers, they could really look over the script and be like, okay, we should change this, this, and this. But it seems like in this film, they borrowed ideas from a lot of other movies. There is a nod towards Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a part where she looks at a letter and it's labeled Elm Street, so like an Easter egg towards Elm Street. There's another part where there is a floor that really looked resembling to Beetlejuice, and some of that imaginary world, it reminded me of Beetlejuice just slightly, and also heavily of Insidious. The trailer also shows you everything from the story to the jump scares themselves. In the first 60 minutes to 70 minutes of this film, there's only about 2 or 3 jump scares, and every single one of them you've seen in the trailer. There's also a point in the film where about 5 or 6 times they show like a shadowy figure or an entity behind each character, and they never capitalize on that. They keep doing this over and over and over, and I was waiting for something to happen, and it never does. The monster himself, they show his look in the trailer. I thought his costuming was terrible, and I also think that he reminded me of a cross between Sweetums from the Muppets and also Where the Wild Things Are Gone Wild in a terrible horror movie. There's throwaway characters in the film. 2 in particular. You have this boy that lives next door. He really has the hots for the older girl in the house, and he comes over and he wants to do drugs with her. There's a scene that you see in the trailer where the monster actually pops out during the hallway scene. He's in that scene, and then you never see him again. You have the father here who is obviously married to Jessica, and he's in the first 15-20 minutes of the film. He then goes on tour with his band, and then we never see him again. It's shot during the day, and I think that hurts the film. I definitely think it could have been elevated a little bit for actually having some darkness and just creating a little bit more of a horror setting. It is in one central location in a house. It is a PG-13 movie, so there's not a lot of blood. There's only one part, in fact, that there is blood, a little bit of pool of blood. That's the only blood in the entire film. There's another scene too where the little girl, she tries to hurt herself and she gets a little cut on her arm, and it looks like they just did red marker on her arm. Those are the kinds of things that are filled in here because they really can't show blood. The film itself, it just feels very boring to me. It took a long time to really get going and get into this imaginary world. During the first like 30 to 40 minutes of the film, my audience, it was really talking to the film. If you ever have like those Charlie Brown people that sit there and they go, don't go in that doorway or don't do that. I had a few of those kinds of people in the audience, and they shut up really quick after about 30-40 minutes into the film because nothing is happening in this film. The pacing in this film is god-awful. It does a lot of rinse and repeat with the shadowy entities and the figures. And like I said, some of the jump scares within that first hour you've seen in the trailer, when you reveal all those cards and then you go into that imaginary world, yes, it's interesting. Yes, it's cool, but you're also ripping off of other movies. And it's just too late by that point. You're in the last 25 minutes of the movie. It wasn't interesting to begin with. We don't have characters that we really like at any point. The only likable character I would say decently would be Jessica, because she has a little bit of a backstory. She has some things that happened within that house. Those kinds of things, yes, those are interesting. But overall, the kids, they're brats. They don't like the stepmother. The backstory of the girl's mother, they just kind of glance over it. They let us know that she has some type of mental issue, but they never go full throttle with actually telling us that whole backstory. And that's kind of how this film is. It just kind of gives you a little bit, but doesn't necessarily tell you everything. The film also should have ended about 3 times. They do a couple fake me out endings, which I didn't really like. And I think overall this is a film that the teenagers are going to like. They are going to probably laugh at some of the things in this. Maybe they'll be scared at certain moments of this film, but this film is definitely for them. And it's definitely a film that is a product piece where I think it's going to be a hit at like Halloween Horror Nights and probably have a haunted house with Chauncey the Bear. I definitely think that's where this is headed. I honestly think the folks at Blumhouse don't really care about the product that they're actually putting out. Between this, Five Nights at Freddy's, The Exorcist movie, and Night Swim, I can really tell that they are just looking for mediocrity at this point. It doesn't even seem like they're really trying with their scripts. I don't think they really care. I just think they know that these are PG-13 movies. The teenagers are going to come out and they're going to make money off that. And the product of Chauncey, he's an easy sell. He's a teddy bear, an evil teddy bear. So they know that people are going to want to go check this out, specifically the teens. And that's really all they're trying to accomplish here. As far as the score for this film, I would give it a 1 out of 5. It's a terrible film. I wouldn't watch it again. I'd rather watch Night Swim again, which doesn't really say much because I didn't really like that movie either. But this is worse than Night Swim. The story is terrible. It takes too long to get going. Lots of things that are unexplained. Terrible dialogue. Don't waste your time with this movie. If you are going to watch this movie though, don't waste your money at the theater. Wait for streaming. Wait to watch it for free. Don't spend money on it. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know down in the comments, what did you think about this movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? Leave any and all comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.